Welcome, I'm Calvin Clark of Clark's Corvair Parts. Today we're in the building where we make Corvair and Riviera interiors, and we're going to be concentrating on Riviera interiors. On the table we have a saddle colored leather, we have one of the red colored leathers, and for those of you that need leather interior, we have all the original leathers and the matching vinyls. Here you'll see 65 Riviera fabric, blue with the metallics. This would be a 63-64 blue fabric. And here we have a 65 again with the metallics. Up on this shelf, we have more of the Riviera fabrics. They're quite difficult to come by, and they do add considerable cost, the same as the leather does. These are some of our hundreds of rolls of vinyl. Vinyl has to be stored, hung on the wall, to keep it from getting creases and lines in it. This is our main upholstery room. All the Riviera and Corvair upholstery are sewn at these machines, as well as carpets and headliners. All the custom bindings to go with the various colors of vinyl. This is the machine that slits our vinyl to the various widths that we need. Right now she's rewinding the roll. We always have to rewind it. It has to be under the correct tension to get it over on the side where we would do the slitting. Normally a roll would be bigger than this, but this is for demonstration. So Amy has just marked the roll at 1.5 inches. This will give us the width that we need for making the beading that we're going to see in a couple minutes. Now she has to move that, rotate it down so that it lines up with the blade.
Right on the line.
And that's it. This is the machine that we use for making for the different colored beadings. It takes a nylon inner cord, the vinyl that we cut on the vinyl slitting machine, goes through here, folds over, gets a little bit of glue applied. There's some knives that cut the little holes, the little slits that allow it to bend around the areas of the upholstery. So Pearl, go ahead and show us how it runs. Okay, thank you. This is the machine that we use for making the small volume of door and upholstery buttons. The first thing we have to do is cut the fabric, or vinyl. We've now assembled the fabric, the top of the button, the back of the button, and the tooling that we'll be using for assembling them. The fabric is inserted into this tooling with the face down. The back of the button is put into this tooling. We're now going to push the top of the button down through the fabric to wrap the fabric or vinyl around the head. We're now going to take the covered button top, put it over the back of the button, and join the two together. And we have a finished button. Thank you, Crystal. These are all the toolings that it takes to cut a 1963 Riviera bucket seat top. Then there'd be different tooling for the bottom and also for the rear seats. This is the tooling that cuts out the bottoms of the 1965 custom bucket seats. And this is the tooling that cuts out the top pieces. And we have additional tooling that looks very similar but slightly different because the front and rear seats are different. Okay.
On these, this is where the line is going to go. We cut these vinyl pieces and then we sew it at 1/8 of an inch. Then we take this and put it onto the foam and we sew it again.
That's our die cutting machine, and we've just put the slits in the vinyl that the ladies will use for aligning as they're sewing the upholstery. This is the top of the bucket seat after the vinyl has been cut out using that tooling that I showed you earlier. And all the slits up near the top so the ladies know exactly how to bring it together as they're sewing it.
When we make our pleats, there's a foam here. We have to put glue on it, white glue we put on it and let it stay overnight. And then the next day we put this listing on it and that's got to dry overnight. And then we go on this side, this is called CU, and then we put it on the foam on this side. So there's 3 layers. Then we have to take this and put it on our die cut and we have to cut this out. Okay, after we cut out our pleat, we have exactly where these lines should be. So we have to mark them. And then up here we have to mark it because you got 1 slit here, 1 slit there, and so forth. And it goes all the way across. And then we have to slit the lines into the foam. Each one is going to be different when we do these, front and back.
From one year to the next then?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so we have different patterns and different toolings for every single front and back Riviera seat then?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you. This is a dielectric and embossing tooling for the 1963 vinyl. The vinyl with a couple layers on top of it to give the correct amount of quilting get laid onto this. Go ahead and we're using a finished one, but use your imagination. Then that will get pushed under this machine. We can adjust the pressure. We also can adjust the amount of time that it puts pressure down. Then the microwaves come on for a few seconds, and then there's a cool down stage. When that's done, we can lift the vinyl off, and all the embossed lines have been heated right in, and it actually causes the vinyl to seal to the vinyl behind it or whatever the backing is, and that makes a totally sealed line. The rear of each year Riviera bucket seat has a different dielectric embossed pattern. This is the 1963. The 1964 looks the same but has one less crossbar. The 1965 just has the main crossbars, doesn't have all the extra little lines, so it's easier to see the actual grain of the vinyl. And the rear of the 1965 custom seat is different yet. This has vertical embossed lines. We have a notebook that shows every aspect of the Riviera upholstery. This would be the diagram of the bottom of a bucket seat. This would be the top of a rear seat. You notice we've got notes. There's also different types of drawings on here. Sometimes we use different colors. Tells the lady exactly how to make it exactly the way we took the original apart. These are all the pieces to a 1964 bucket seat, just the top. Vinyl, Osnaburg material, foam, cardboard, everything to make it just as close as we can to the way it left the factory. Then we have to do the other bucket and the two rear seats, which are not quite as complex, but almost. This is the inside of the Riviera bucket seat that you saw all the pieces to. Normally you don't see the inside of it. What you normally would see would be, in this case, the back side. And the front side. Pearl is just doing the last stitching on this 1964, and the last thing that she does, puts the foam across the top of it.
I'm putting on the side or the centerpiece on a Riviera 63. I've got to put the foam on first. So I'm going to sew this on, and then I'll be putting the large beading onto this afterwards.
And this is what we just saw her finishing up on that other bucket seat. Once Pearl adds beading to this foam strip that she was just sewing, then that will become that piece, the very last piece she sews into the bucket. This is a full set of 1963 Riviera. We're starting with the top of the rear seats, the bottom of the rear seats. These would be the top of the front bucket seats. This set takes us approximately 12 to 14 hours to do completely. And the thing that's different about the 1963s, they don't have any padding, and the padding is made up for by the seat buns. This is a set of 1964 Riviera. 65 looks basically the same, except it's a different vinyl. The 64 and 65 have foam that gives this deep quilted appearance. And these sets take us about 14, maybe 16 hours. The one that takes the longest is the 65 Custom. That takes between 16 and 18 hours to end up with a full set. This set looks a little wrinkly because it had already been packed up to ship to the customer, and I grabbed it out of the box for the video. This is the front bucket seat for the 1965 Custom. You remember earlier we saw all the different toolings for cutting out the vinyl and the padding. As you can see, it's very complicated to sew, and those perfed lines help them know how much to fold it over and where to sew it. And this is the bottom of the 1965 Custom. With the carpet color of your choice on the back bottom section. This is a set of the Riviera trunk mats. We even put tar paper on the back of the big piece like the original. This is the Riviera trunk cardboard. We can do it in this original color or one of 15 or so other colors. All the pieces have the necessary creases to help fold them. And when you go to fold these, it's color towards color side. Only as much as you need to. Then fold it back in the other direction and you're less apt to crack the color. For our package area, we start with a fiberglass package tray. Then we add felt as a padding. Then we add the vinyl on top. Both of those layers are glued. And on the back side, there's a piece of soundproofing felt. Unlike the original cardboard ones, these will never warp. And they are completely three-dimensional. This would be the style for a 1963 or 64 Riviera without the wood paneling. The vinyl at the bottom and going up the sides wraps around and attaches to the nail strips. You'll have to transfer all your trim, and the buttons are available separately. They're all set, ready to install. All you have to do is take an owl or other sharp pointed objects, make a small hole right near the crossing of the stitching, and insert the button. Comes with complete instructions on doing that and also help installing the trim. This is the rear quarter panel for a 1963 or 64. This is without the buttons. You can see how we were able to get the depth of the pleating. This is the door panel for a 1965 Riviera with the wood paneling. Down at the bottom is the vinyl strip that you'll have to fold and run it around to the nail strips. The excess around the ends and across the top will also have to be folded around and attached to the original pieces. And any of the trim will have to be transferred from your old door panel. This is the rear quarter panel window section for a 1965 with the wood trim. You have to transfer all your trim pieces and the piece at the top. We sell complete nail strips in case yours have rusted or if the little nails have broken off. these are all handmade. All the notches are cut, the nails are installed, spot welded in place. Thanks for watching our video on Riviera Interior. I hope you found it enjoyable and you got a little bit more of an understanding of what goes into making your upholstery. We can usually ship it in less than a week. One last item, these are the door windlaces. They are basically the same for 63 to 65, front and rear. We list different part numbers mainly because of the different colors that are available. So make sure you look through the complete catalog, either in the paper version or online, and make sure that you get everything that you need for your interior. Thanks very much.